the USDA, the Farm Service Agency, has a loan program that is targeted for a student that's involved with FFA or a 4-H project. And really what that just entails is if there's a project out there that maybe you'd like to enhance, or that maybe you'd like to expand, or maybe just a project or even just starting to try to get up and running, we have loan monies that we can loan you up to $5,000 for that project. The loan has to be paid back. We do an application process just like if you were borrowing $500,000. We set up a balance sheet, which obviously a lot of times as a 10-year-old, you're not going to have a lot of assets or liabilities. But we talk about those forms, and then we also put together a projection to where this loan has to be paid back. So depending on the actual project, we can extend those terms all the way out for 7 years. Or in a case of a livestock project where maybe it's just a show steer, it has to be paid back in 1 year. So depending on the project, we can set those terms accordingly.
A lot of experience in making those loans and seeing some of those projects come your way?
It is. I'm very fortunate. I work with some wonderful ag teachers and 4-H leaders in my area. Agriculture is very strong, obviously, in the counties, not only where I live, but that I service. And being a past 4-H leader myself, it's very important that we keep our youth interested in agriculture. There are our roots. If they don't continue, we feed the world. So I've had a very good success rate with my youth loans. A lot of livestock projects, but if it's a 4-H project or if it's a project within FFA, we can probably loan on it. So it could be anything maybe from tractor restoration, lawn and garden, row crop. I have a young man right now that's going to rent 28 acres from his grandpa, and he's going to plant corn and soybeans. So we have to pay a little bit of cash rent. We're going to pay for the seed. We're going to pay for the chemicals. So anything involved with that project, we can loan for up to $5,000.
Once people start to think about those projects, Cheryl, important to kind of have a complete idea about all the necessary inputs, if you will, to figure out?
A little bit, yes. Usually what happens this time of the year, we are starting to make some visits to our local FFA chapters or speak at 4-H meetings or FFA banquets just to get the word out there about these programs. I can honestly tell you that back when I was involved in 4-H personally, I didn't know that there was a program, and I think maybe if I had maybe my parents would have been a little bit more eager or allowing maybe to enhance our projects where they didn't have to foot all the money out the door themselves. So we're getting into the chapters right now just telling people about these projects. So after I've spoke at a classroom and then maybe the teacher will call me and say that he has an individual that's interested, I'll usually make a trip back to the school and sit down with that individual and look at the application process, and we'll talk about it. And then we'll talk about the needs of the project and what he's interested in. And then I will make a trip out to visit with the parents as well, or they'll come into the office. We don't ask our parents to co-sign on the promissory notes, but they have to give us their permission, or they have to give us the acknowledgement that they know that their child is getting a loan from us. But it's the kids' project. And honestly, I'll know as soon as you sit down with them and talk with them if it's their project or not, how well aware they are. 2 years ago at the state fair, I had a young lady from the Brighton area that had the grand champion trio of meat rabbits at the state fair, which in having that then allowed her to sell them at the sale of Governor's Sale of Sales, and she made $4,500 when she had that auction that night. And that's just so rewarding. I probably was smiling as large as she was because she was all of 11 years old. But when I visited that farm and all the buildings and all the care for these animals, knowing what those kids do every morning for chores, you knew it was their project right away and that they really loved it. So yes, it's very rewarding, very rewarding.
You've seen a lot of those kids go from 4-H and FFA projects on into beginning farmers, and you can stay in touch with those individuals because USDA and FSA can make a lot of beginning farmer loans.
We do. We have another wonderful program for our beginning farmers, and that's exactly what it's called. It's called a beginning farmer loan program. If that beginning farmer is looking at purchasing real estate, if they have at least 3 years of experience but not more than 10, we have a program that if they can come up with 5% of the down payment money, and that could even be a gift from family or grandpa or whoever, we can loan, FSA can loan up to 45% of that loan, up to $225,000 at only a 1.5% interest rate for 20 years. So obviously that's a great rates and terms, which helps that cash flow. Then we bring another lender into the picture for that other 50%. And again, we have a program that's called a guaranteed program, where a bank comes to us as our applicant. We can guarantee that loan in case it would default. Being a beginning farmer, there are no fees involved. Those are all waived, and we can guarantee it up to 95%. And that other lender then has that first mortgage on that property. Also, by having this guarantee, they can sell that loan off to the secondary market. And that's just like selling a housing loan off. You get a fixed rate, and they can get a fixed rate on that loan. So we are fixing the cost for that beginning operation, which is very important.
If people want more information, FSA offices around the state, the place to go?
There is. We have 93 offices, 93 counties that have FSA offices in them. Now, we do not have a loan presence in all those offices, but just contact your local FSA office in your counties, and they can steer you in the right direction then for your farm loan manager or farm loan officer that handles their areas.